Okay, let's get your ships into Navismaster 6. First thing you want to do is download Unity Hub. The version of the hub doesn't really matter. Click on New Project. You can use up to editor version 2022, 322 F1. Anything older will work, don't use anything newer. Right, and then you want to use high definition 3D as your core. Okay, once you've created, and then click on create a new project. You want to name your project. It takes a while to open, so be prepared for that. There we go, the flying dolphin. Okay, once your project's opened, you can close the wizard. First thing we're going to do is going to go Assets, import a new package, Custom Package. So this Navismaster Modtools is going to be in the file that you got from us. You're going to open that. You can just say Import. Next, Import. Okay, it's imported. So what you're going to see is underneath your assets in project, you're going to see a whole bunch of new stuff appeared in here. First thing you want to do is go to templates, and then you want to choose the size of your vessel. So right now we've got a large ship and a small ship, and this template here is for scenery. We're going to bring in a small ship about the size of Klimek, which is a small tug. So I'm going to double click on that and don't save. You can import right, here we go. So we've added this boat to show you an example of a fully functional mod. So all you really need to do is replace your meshes in place of the meshes that are currently there. Okay, let's create a new folder for the mesh we're about to bring in. One's called the Flying Dolphin. Right. So I'm going to drag the SketchUp file directly into that folder. Right. Click on it once just to see. So here's where the stuff gets interesting. So if you do not see your materials or your color showing up on your mesh there's a couple of things that you can do to overcome it. You can either export it to an OBJ, you can export it to Collada, but there's an issue happening here that varies between SketchUp versions. So some SketchUp versions work, some don't with Unity. Alright, but you can try the SketchUp direct first. If that doesn't work, export it to different types of file formats until you find one that works. Alright, so first thing we want to do is extract the materials, and we'll call materials here. Select the folder, and then we want to extract textures. Let's call this textures. Alright, let's bring our boat in. So I can see that the textures are not on there. The tire is supposed to be there. So here's a couple of options we can do. So everything in this menu is to do with this specific issue of materials. So I'm going to switch back to standard. Every time you make a change, you have to scroll down and hit apply. Right, that didn't work. Let's try standard materials. Legacy, still under the first one, standard, and then the second one, legacy. And voila. Right, so the base colors are working, textures are working, everything's in. So this I couldn't tell you what's going to happen to yours because this depends on which version of SketchUp you've got. But don't be shy, fiddle around with these things until you get it to work. And like I said, if it doesn't work for you with directly out of a SketchUp file, you can export to OBJ and try it that way. Same process for a different file format. Alright, now that the mesh is in, let's just check scale compared to Climec, which is hidden. Oh, well, look, it's not 1,000 times bigger. It's not like, yeah, the scale is correct. Right, make sure your model's position and rotation is on 0. Well, the rotation doesn't matter. Just make sure that your boat's facing the right direction, the same as the boat that's there, Climec. Alright, let's drag this file into the ship folder. Underneath the hierarchy here, you want to have this in there. Then we can remove Climec. You can just delete this. Alright, now we're going to add the hull, the mesh hull, which is going to do the buoyancy for us. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to SketchUp and you're going to export this to OBJ. You're not going to bring in the SketchUp file directly like we did with the mesh. This one you have to export as an OBJ. It won't work at all if you drag in the SketchUp file. Okay, so I've got the hull over here and I've got it exported. Alright, and you can see it's not rotated correctly, so I'm going to zero everything first like you would with the mesh. Add some rotations to it to match the current hull, and when you see it flickering, you know you've got it right. The first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that that mesh that you dragged in, you've got read and write ticked on here. This is crucial. That by default is unticked, so make sure you tick that, and then make sure you drag in the hierarchy, you put it into the same ship parent. Alright, also make sure that you don't have a grouping system like I have here. You can't have a parent within the parent. This mesh needs to be out of there, so let's pull it out. Oh, it's complaining because it's packed, so let's unpack it. Prefab, unpack completely, pull it out, delete the hull, rename this one as hull. The only reason that's happened is because in SketchUp I had it grouped, so if you have it ungrouped it will be fine. Alright. Next thing we want to do in Inspector is under Tag, click Hull. Under Layer, you want to click Hull Layer. And then we can untick Mesh Renderer, which would hide it because you don't want to see this like this in the game. So let's hide the mesh itself. And then we'll add our first component, which will be just write Hull in the search bar there and Hull Buoyancy. Nothing to set there. Next we'll write Mesh and put in a Mesh Collider. And then what you want to tick Convex. And there you go. Bob's your uncle. Alright, another thing to remember when you're making the mesh, make sure, like a real boat, there are no massive holes in your mesh. So we're looking underneath here. My two sides are joined, everything's watertight. There's no holes, no center section missing for the keel. It's a completely closed mesh. Right, so our boat's in. We don't have a rudder or a prop yet, but those are not compulsory right now. We want to just see if this works into the game directly as it is. So the next thing we're going to go and do is say Modtools and create a new mod. I'll call your mod whichever you want. In my case it's going to be the Flying Dolphin. Oh, well, you can't have it the same as the folder that's already there, so let's say the Flying Dolphin mod, create mod. Okay, so you've got your mod created. Okay, once you've created your mod, let's go to export settings, set your mod name, and then you can put additional information over here if you like, and then you leave the mod assets directory. It'll already be correct. You want to set the mod export directory, which would be wherever you downloaded Navismaster. Inside Navismaster you'll go to Navismaster data and mods and select that folder, and that's it, and you can close this. Alright, then you've got to go over to your mod folder in the project. Once you're ready with your boat, you've got everything set just the way you want it, click on ship, drag it into this folder. Right, now it's created a prefab, so everything you've done is now saved in there. Alright, so let's go to Modtools and build mod. You don't have to save because it's already saved in the prefab. In fact, you shouldn't save because then you're going to overwrite the empty template that we sent you, and then whatever changes you've made to that are gone. Alright, we're in Navismaster. Let's go new game, open ocean. You can go island scene if you want. The open ocean is just quicker. Click on ships. Here's your new mod. Load it in. Alright, in she is. And bobbing around like crazy. Okay, next up, let's get a looking at somewhat a bit more realistic. So currently our mass is 10 tons, and that's obviously not going to be enough. So let's change that to something like 50 tons. Let's see what happens. All right, we're nowhere near. So let's change that to 100 tons. So you're gonna you're gonna know what your ship's weight is, and you're gonna add that ship, and you should be close to the waterline, and then you can just adjust that weight or mass until you're, at the waterline height that you want the ship to be. I'm not entirely sure what the ship's mass is, so I'm just setting it by eye. And there's COG. Could be something like, let's go -1. We wanted to, and it's looking a lot closer. Her inertia has slowed down quite a bit because she's got a bit of weight to her, but she's still a little unstable. So let's get her COGY to, COGY is the up-down axis of where the center of gravity is. So the higher you place it, the more unstable your vessel will be. So if I change it to something like 3, she'd probably capsize. Alright, so she's pretty much where I would like her as far as waterline and stability. Next up, you can set things like switch the engine on, go full speed, and just adjust your power until you see her performing the way you want. I don't know if you want your boat to go 50 knots or 5 knots. You're going to sit here and adjust it. Then after you've found the settings that you like with all these values, like you see my rudder there has very little effect. I'd like that rudder to be a little bit more effective. It looks a bit better. Much better. She might be a tad on the fast side. I'll drop that, and maybe I think I'll leave the rudder on that for now. Just drop her speed. Okay, let's say we are happy with the way things are behaving. We're going to take a screenshot of this, and then we're going to go back to the Unity, and it would reset your scene to the original template, which is fine. Just delete the previous one. Bring your new prefab that you just exported back in here and transfer those settings that you just found in the game in your screenshot and put them in here. When you click on ship, you'll see boat settings script. So first thing's the center of mass. My Y was on 1 and my Z was on -1. My power was down to 1500. The turn force was 300, which in the game is called rudder force. And then mass is on right on top here on the rigid body, which was 150,000 kilos, 150 tons. Okay, when you've set all of that, click on overrides, apply all, and re-export the mod. Modtools, build mod. Don't save. And that's it.